I wonder when I get to heaven if the Lord will tell me how many sermons I preached where I used Bojangles in my sermon. I've mentioned Bojangles probably easily in like 50, 100 sermons. That's probably low, but I've never had the glory on stage with me. Like it's here today. It is here. And so it's gonna be my illustration. I could have chosen, people are like, what are the best fries? And some people say Chick-fil-A or Corbett's. You probably would say Corbett's, okay? Local jam. Maybe McDonald's, still classic. But like for me, like it's just the seasoning. And I'm trying to raise my kids in the ways of the Lord. And so I'm gonna use an illustration. Luke, you're an illustration. Levi was the illustration last service. You are this time, okay? So I want you to hypothetically imagine this. Luke was an amazing kid this week, which he was, he always is. Just really obedient, super polite, really respectful. And I'm like, hey, you know what, Luke, like, I just want to have some father-son time. And so what I want to do is I just want to take you to Bojangles, just me and you, and I'm going to buy you a large fry. And, I just want to give you a fry. Not a fry, but like a fry. And because that'd be cruel to be like, hey, here's a fry. And so, I take him to Bojangles, and I get him that, and just do what Jesus wants us to do and put seasoning all over it. And then we sit down. Can you just imagine this moment? Like, this is like a memorable moment. This is sacred, just father and son at Bojangles. And then I'm just thinking, like, he was good. And, but I mean, I drove here. I paid for it. Like, I want a fry. And like, I reach over. And then he pops my hand. Like, can you imagine? He's like, Dad, those are mine. I'm not going to process out loud what I would do in that moment. But the point is, like, here's a couple thoughts. I'm going to give you the theology of fries right now, okay? Like, theology is like one of these church words, but here's the theology of fries that would go through my mind in that moment. First, my son does not understand where those fries came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was the source of those fries. That came from my bank. I drove with my gas. We came here. Like, he has a misunderstanding of where the fries came from. Secondly, he doesn't understand I can take those fries. I can take them. I can go sit in the booth next to him, and I can just sit there instead and make him watch me eat these fries. Like, I can take the fries. This was a gift. This was nice. You don't get to just automatically keep nice things. Third, he doesn't understand I don't need his fries. Like, I don't need them. I could go get my own fries. I could get 10 fries, and we could just sit there in different booths, and I could eat my fries, and he could eat his fries. But maybe what he didn't realize in that moment was I wanted a moment with my son where we could share those fries. And this might sound weird, like, why are you talking about this? Well, I think this illustration can help us understand our relationship with God, especially when it comes to our finances. Because very often, God gives us fries, aka anything that you possess. He gives us these things, and then he calls us to do things with what we possess, with our finances, with the things, and then we reach over and we're like, mine. And what we fail to understand is in the same way that if my son did that, what God, I feel like, is trying to tell us is this. I gave you what you have. I can take what you have. And honestly, I gave it to you because I wanted to share with you. I wanted to experience this with you. So theology of fries, you can take this with you, okay? I stole it from another pastor. It's okay. Actually, he gave it to me. He gave me it to me. He said I could use it. So if that helps you understand, this is what we do so often, though, is that we live in a relationship with God and he blesses us with things. And instead of, when he calls us to do something, we're quick to grab it and say, this is mine. This is mine. What we're going to be doing in this series is we're going to be looking at how we can make change in regards to our relationship with God and how does our relationship with him inform our relationship with our finances, okay? So we're going to be cute with the term making change. Here's what we want you to do. We want you to make change by actually changing the way that you handle your finances, okay? God has something to say about your finances and how you're meant to do that in a way that honors him and also in a way that is going to be good for you as well. So making changes. Also, it's going to be applicable. It's going to be practical, especially the next 2 weeks. But this week, I'm going to kind of give us a foundation. But in the next 2 weeks, we're going to look at how to make change, create margin in your life by creating things like budgets and eliminating debt. These are things the Bible actually speaks of. And then also, hey, look, we're a church. We're doing a series on money. Like, what are the odds we talk about giving? Anybody? Okay, yes, we're going to talk about giving. Why? Well, mainly because Jesus talked more about that than anything else. The way that we handle what God's given us with our finances, with our possessions. This is something that we don't hide from this church. So yes, we are going to talk about making change with our change. by investing what God has given you into blessing others and pointing them to Jesus. But what I want to look at today, first and foremost, is foundational, okay? I think you'll be able to take the truths of this message and apply it across your life, whether it has anything to do with money or not, okay? This is foundational in our life, and I believe it is going to set some of you free, okay? But here's where we're gonna go in the series, and then I'm gonna backtrack. You're gonna hear these phrases over the next 3 weeks. Say this with me: less is more. Stress is bad, giving is good. Less is more, stress is bad, giving is good. All right, that's like week 2 and 3. I don't have anything cute to say today, okay? But what I wanna give is we're gonna look at, hey, like maybe I need to eliminate some things in my life. Maybe I realize that there's things that are causing me stress in my finances that's not God's fault. That's things that I've put on myself. And the giving is actually a good thing, and to change our framework. But today I want us to look at something very simple. Here's your big idea for the whole series, the whole sermon. It's this. You can write it down, it's on the screen. Nothing is yours, everything is God's. So, sometimes you're like, man, that's gonna get some amens. One of the cool things about doing a money series is like all the things that you're so excited to share, no one finds exciting. But it's okay, I've done this for years now. But the thing is this, say this with me. I'm gonna make you say it even if you don't like it, okay? Say, nothing is yours. Well, actually, no, make it personal. Say, nothing is mine, everything is God's. Nothing is mine, everything is God's. All right, Psalm 24, 1-2. I'm not gonna blow your mind. I'm not gonna use Hebrew here. I took it 4 times instead of 2. I couldn't blow your mind anyway. But there's nothing crazy here you couldn't get, but I just wanna look at this. Psalm 24, 1-2. The earth is the, say it with me, Lord's, and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. For he founded it on the seas and established it on the waters. So the earth is whose? Okay, so if it says the earth is his, that would infer that everything in the earth is his. So like everything on this planet is God's. I want you to get this. It's not that God just made it. It's still his. It's not just that he made it. It's still his possession. And I think sometimes we're like, oh, well, he just made it and he just sits back and, no, it's his. Every inch of this earth, every little bit of water, every bit of land, everything that exists, every person, that's what it says here, the next thing. It says, the world and all who live in it. Ooh. What does that mean? That changes your whole life if you accept it. If you're willing to accept this to be true, it will radically change your whole entire life, because our whole life is surrounded by this idea of you can be yourself, figure out who you are, be whatever you want to be. But the reality is you are the Lord's. You are the Lord's. Every single person that lives is God's. Say this with me. I am not my own. I am the Lord's. That is a truth, but it takes a choice on each person's part whether they surrender to that truth. It will change everything, and it will also take off a lot of pressure. We live in a world today that's just so fluid of just like be whatever you want to be, but the reality is you don't need to figure out who you are and create that narrative. What you need to do is seek the Lord and let him show you who he made you to be. That's not your job. Your job is to surrender and say, I am yours. I am yours. I am not my own. Job, in the book of Job, in chapter 41, I'm not going to summarize the whole book. Job, really, really tough situation for Job. A lot of things go wrong in his life. A bunch of people come and try to give him advice, and finally God's like, okay, enough. Y'all need to be quiet. He says, here's what he says in verse 11. Who has claim against me that I must pay? Everything under heaven belongs to me. Everything under heaven belongs to me. Like David's talking about God in Psalms. Here's God talking about mine. It's like, no. Like, it's all mine. It's all mine. Anybody love the movie Finding Nemo? I just seriously, same experiences first. I have serious problems with any human that doesn't like Finding Nemo. Like, what is not to like about Finding Nemo? If you haven't seen it, just go watch it. Be blessed, enjoy yourself. There's a scene at the end of the movie where there's a pelican. The pelican is holding a crab. And then I kept trying to freeze the frame to figure out exactly how many seagulls. It's between 12 and 13. That's what I narrowed it down to. And all these seagulls are just sitting there looking at this pelican holding this crab. And what are they saying? Keep going. Yeah, see, like, this is fascinating. Yo, the first service did well. You're good, that's enough. Okay. Oh, man. And so, like, they're so annoying, right? Like, not you, but just like, y'all did great. Bless the Lord. But they're just sitting there, mine, like, and just over and over again in unison. And all of a sudden, the pelican's like, would you shut up, right? Like, and you ever wonder if that's how God feels? I mean, I'm not saying he says that, but like, I mean, you know how annoying those birds were? And I think the Lord delights in us, I do. But do you ever think for him, he's like, if y'all could just understand what's true and stop trying to grab a hold of everything like these birds, just saying mine, like everything in your closet, everything in your wallet, like your car, whatever it is, and your every moment of time, it's not just possessions. We look at every moment and we're trying to claim a hold of it and possess it because we think and somehow it's ours. Your life is not your own. And that's not depressing, it's liberating. Take the pressure off. This life is not something for you to figure all out, it's for you to surrender to. There is one that made you, and he says, you are not your own, but I made you, and you were fearfully and wonderfully made. I knit you in your mother's womb. You don't have to figure this out. And listen, how many of you learned the more things you have, the more stressed you are? How many of you found the more you keep saying mine, you're actually upset, and it's not giving you any sort of contentment? This world will tell you, hey, you can get, like the American dream, I'm thankful to live in America. But do you know what's better than a dream? Contentment. But like in our society, like contentment doesn't make money. But we live in a world where we just chant mine over and over and over again. Listen, if you are not your own and what you have is not your own, listen to how this changes things. What causes some of the most stress in your life? How much money you have, right? How much stuff you have. Like that, like these are the things that cause us so much stress. This thing that you feel like that you just have to have. But if what I have, listen, okay, this is gonna be for somebody important. If what I have isn't mine, then I don't have to worry about it. Now, that doesn't mean you should just be reckless with it. We should be good stewards. God blessed you with it, so take care of it. But the pressure is off. It's not yours. Also, I just want you to think about like that time. I'm not speaking to any parents in the room, but like that moment that like a kid broke something and like you reacted as if like someone just took a knife and ripped open the Mona Lisa or something, right? Like it's just like the reaction you can have sometimes, even like, I'm not saying this would be good, but even if someone backed into your car, like that's upsetting, like but like these things are not ours. I don't have to act like my day is ruined when this shirt that I bought or that I love gets stained, right? Like you can be good stewards of it, take care of it, use some stain stick, whatever. But listen, why do we let our possessions ruin our emotions? Well, the problem is we got stuck on the word my. It's not your possession. It is not your possession. Also, we are always chasing after the Joneses. And I just want to just let you know it's hard to live a content life in the triangle. It is. Like Raleigh is one of the top, I think I looked up, like one of the 12 most affluent and wealthy cities in America. It is difficult, and it's difficult because you're not meant to, as a follower of Jesus, keep living a life comparing yourself to other families and other people and other jobs and other houses. We should be grateful for what we have. I think about this even with my children. They play soccer, and like you live in this world to where they look at other families and they look at what they have and they look at what they drive and they look at all these different things, and we're constantly living our life wondering like how much better my life would be if I had that. But listen, when you realize nothing is yours, you don't have to be stressed about what isn't yours. Not just stressed about what you have, but you don't even have to be stressed anymore about what you don't have. You don't have to be stressed about what you don't have. Let me give you just maybe the theology of Finding Nemo will take you somewhere today as well. Maybe it'll apply to your life broader than a money series called Making Change. But what if in today you said, I no longer want to be like a seagull coming before God saying mine, but rather I would like to be one that just says yours. What I have is yours. My time is yours. My life is yours. My breath is yours. My bank account is yours. Life becomes way more freeing and liberating the less you cling to things so hard. Cling to things so hard. Second thing I want you to see is we aren't our own provider. God is. We aren't our own provider, God is. Philippians 4:19 says, and my God will meet all your, I want to come back to that. He will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus. I remember when my children in school, they were learning the difference between wants and needs. I think adults need to take the class. Because how many of us come to God and we're frustrated and we're not content because he's not meeting our wants? I want you to hear me. God never promised to meet your wants, ever. But he promises to meet your needs. Think about the Lord's Prayer. What does he call us to pray for and ask for? Our daily bread. Our daily bread. God is our provider of our needs. He did not promise to keep our to always meet our wants. Say this with me. God is my provider. This matters, right? Some of y'all, you have a lot of pride in the fact, like, hey, like I'm a self-made man. I'm a self-made woman. And some of you, you've got amazing stories. Like you've done some incredible things to get to where you are, and that's phenomenal. But let me just rebuke a lie. You're not self-made. You're God-made. You're God-made. Like what you have achieved, I think God can look down and say, I'm so proud of what you've done, but also he is the source of everything that you've ever done. He is the source. It says this in James 1:17. It says, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. Listen, some of you, you just recently got a job. And I want you to know something. God gave you that job. Some of you recently have lost a job, and I want you to hear me say this, and I know that that is hard, and I think God is a God that has emotions, and he grieves with you, and he's close to the brokenhearted, but hear me. Hear truth on the other side. Someone is celebrating a job, but also God is the provider to those of you that just lost yours. And he's also gonna provide the next one. And you will not go without because our God is our provider. Every good and perfect gift comes from above. I think there's also, it seems so hard for us to actually believe that God is our provider because the check comes with my name on it. It's like, okay, like nice, Bible, sounds great. Sounds like a truth that just sounds spiritual, but it isn't really true because I got the degree, or I got trained, or I got the experience, or, like I worked my way up the ladder, or whatever it might be. Like I did all this stuff, and here God comes around wanting my money, right? How convenient. Anybody have any baggage that you don't like the way church talked about money at some point in your life? Or maybe you're new to church, and you're like, I've heard all this stuff about the church and money. Like, I get it. If you really think that you are your own, and you think that you are the source of everything you've ever done, then I can understand being bitter at God that he has any audacity to tell me what to do with my money because that's mine. I made it. I earned it. I put in the hours. I worked overtime, name the thing, and now he's telling me what to do. But when you understand you are not your own, and when you understand that nothing you have is your own, and then you understand that your gifts and talents were given to you, it's the next point on the screen. Your gifts and talents were given to you, Deuteronomy 8:18. But remember, the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth. Oh. He is the one that gave us the ability to produce wealth. That doesn't mean that our Father isn't a proud Father. It doesn't mean he's not a proud Father when we use those gifts to his glory. It doesn't mean he's not a proud Father when we do the things he calls us to do. It just means he's still God. He's still the one that gave us that ability. And I believe it's gonna set some of you free today in your jobs. Okay, some of you, you look at your job and you don't like your job because the only purpose in that job is to put food on the table. And for some of you, it's just exhausting because you're constantly trying to keep working and working up this ladder. But what if Jesus is your provider and he gives you your talent and abilities, then it can change your whole entire work life. From trying to pursue wealth and worth to work becoming a thing that you worship God with. Because if this isn't about, hey, like I have to do this to provide. No, God does use your job to provide. But you can already just trust he's gonna do that. And so you can now then use work as a means to worship and say, this is your time, God. I give you this time. I give you this day. This is a sacrifice of worship I give to you. Life is meant to be worship. And work can be a part of that as well. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord. Whatever you do. I'm gonna come back to this. We are not our own. Nothing is yours, everything is God's. That's not depressing, that's liberating. That is liberating. You don't have to carry the burden and the pressure. God is your provider. Thank God. He is the giver of our gifts and our talents. Also, one of the reasons pastors don't look forward to preaching on money, I don't really mind it because I feel like I can look back in my life and give a testament to whether you like what I say or not, that's fine with me, but I can tell you that what Scripture teaches about money and the ways in which I followed that, I have not regretted it one bit. I have not regretted living that way one bit. I have a long way to go, but in the ways that I've been obedient, I can say nothing but the Lord is good. The Lord is good and the Lord's way is better. And I think about one of the things that's so hard for us is it's so hard for us to let go of this. Because it's mine. It's mine, right? But if we can get this first sermon into our minds, maybe we can make a change in our perspective. Then weeks 2 and 3, we won't have to fight against the truth so much. Because let me tell you, it's a lot easier to be generous with money when you realize it's not your money. It's not yours. Also, we use a phrase very often. On Sundays, we give you an opportunity to give back to God. Have you ever noticed we don't give you an invitation to give to God? Because that can make you think you're giving something of yours to him. But you're giving back, meaning he gave it to you in the first place. So my hope today is that some of us just make a perspective shift, that we make change in our mindset. Maybe take a deeper breath. Maybe you can breathe a little bit lighter. I talked to someone after last service, and they just needed to hear this truth. They've been stressing about this. And listen, it takes faith to believe this, but they were in a jam. And I want you to, it just meant something to hear the fact that God is their provider. And they are not their own. They have a good Father who will meet their needs. And they don't have to create all their purpose. They can just follow that. You are not your own. You are the Lord's, and there's nothing better you can be than his.